it's saying something sort of simple, and that is, what does it mean for the distance between xy and x0, y0 to get close together? If it's close together, then this number is getting small. And it's saying that if you get this number small enough, in other words, if you get the point xy and x0, y0 close enough to each other. Okay, so if I know that this point x0, y0 is within delta of xy, then I'm guaranteed that the function is close to the limit value. In other words, the functional value of this point xy is close to L. This is exactly the same as what our limit is in 2 dimensions, but now we're dealing with an extra dimension that this original point can live in. So if we know that x0, y0 is close to xy, then we know that also the functional value is getting close to the limit value. And that's what we say it means for a function to have a limit L. Let's talk about some of the properties of limits when we're dealing with an extra dimension. And the first property that we have is, what if we're taking the limit as xy approaches x0, y0 of f of xy plus g of xy? Well, it looks exactly like limits do in 2 dimensions. We can just distribute that limit across this sum and take the limit of each one individually, and then we get m plus L. So that limit can distribute across a sum. Okay. Second property that we get is that the limit as xy approaches x0, y0 of k, a constant, times f of xy is equal to k times m. In other words, this constant k can move outside of the limit if we would like first, and then we just take the limit of f of xy, which is m. So constants can move in and outside of limits with no problems, just like they always have been able to do. Okay, so basically all the rules that we already had for limits in 2 dimensions also apply to limits in 3 dimensions, and that's all we're really trying to say. So all the things we know about limits, we can still use. If a limit doesn't exist, how do you show that it doesn't exist? Well, you really need to find 2 different paths on which you can approach that point that have different limits. And if it has 2 different limits in some sense, then it doesn't have a limit, because all the limits need to agree no matter what path you're traveling. The second thing that I want to talk to you about now is, if we have limits in 3 dimensions, then we can also talk about continuity in 3 dimensions. So let's talk about continuity. And let's remind ourselves what continuity means. Sometimes we think about continuity as, I can draw something without picking up my pen. Okay, that's kind of the simple way of thinking about it, but there's a better way to say it, specifically in 3 dimensions. a function f of xy is continuous at the point x sub 0, y sub 0, if a couple of things are true. First, f is defined at the point x0, y0, and 2, the limit as xy goes to x0, y0 of f of xy exists. And 3, those two values need to be the same.